So as a social anthropologist for almost 2 decades, I have been working on the problem of missing women, now the problem of missing daughters. So this has been part of a historic tradition where earlier girls were killed as infants after birth, but now the elimination of daughters has shifted to pre-birth elimination. So the Indian government has launched many policies to try and address this gender imbalance. Most recently, something called Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. And there are many other such schemes. But none of these schemes have really had a very substantial effect. So what can change this situation, if at all? If legislation hasn't worked, girl-child schemes haven't worked, the fact that there has been unprecedented entry of girls into education at the primary level and even at the middle school and the secondary level, there is now almost parity in enrollment of boys and girls, when earlier there used to be a big gap. Today, almost 50% of the students in colleges and universities of India are girls. So this is a kind of a silent revolution that's happening. It has happened unnoticed. Suddenly people realize that in the last 2 decades, there are many more girls. And if you read the newspapers here, during the times when exam results are declared, you'll find that the girls are always outperforming the boys. So, and most interestingly, the number of girls in STEM disciplines, science, technology, mathematics, engineering, is very high. India has the second highest number of girls in STEM, which is not even the case in many European countries and in the United States. So somewhere this huge influx into education should affect how girls are treated. And the point that I'm trying to make here is that what happens when so many girls come into education, into colleges and universities. First of all, what happens is that it gives them a legitimate way of accessing public space. Because earlier girls were prevented from going out of the house, especially after a certain age. But accessing education gives girls a legitimate reason to be out. Now, it's tied to purposefulness, it's tied to going out for a respectable reason. But what I'm saying is that it can have serendipitous effects because once girls are in school, in college, in transport to get there, they become visible in the public space. And over a period of time, that begins to normalize their acceptance in public space, despite the threats of safety and other kinds of issues that we read about on an everyday basis. Education also gives them agency, the fact that they can think about what they want, who they are, whether they want more education, whether they want to work, whether they want to get married, not married. So making choices is another outcome of education. So the point that I'm trying to make is that not only will education lead to this critical thinking on the part of the girls, but it will also prepare them for careers. And when they have both education and careers, parents are likely to look at them differently and not look at them in the classic fashion of a girl being a burden. But there can be many hiccups before this really happens. For example, marriage is something where it is necessary, and security is an issue. Property rights are still not there for girls, and it's a slow path. But the results might not show so soon. But the expectation is that this is an unstoppable force, and hopefully it will get us to normalize the sex ratio of girls.